many times that, my business is like a Hindi film. Hero will go to fight, he will romance also, he will do everything. There will be ups and downs, but at the end of it, there is a happy ending to it. For any new coming developer, if your project cost is like say 60 crores and even if you have 100 crores in your bank account, but if you don't know how to run this business, it can drain out 150 crores also. This line is just not about money. I think it is how you handle things, how you talk to people, how you get your permissions fast. There are too many factors in that. So Stallion is actually built on instances. Stallion was never built with a clear thought कि पैसा कमाना है builder लोग से. It was
Understood.
actually always to solve
Your problems.
It was never to solve anyone else's problems, in all honesty.
Are you using AI ML in your softwares currently?
We have been using that much before this entire AI buzz. At this point, in all these sectors, as soon as you go and you try to approach them with technology, there is a level of hesitance in them. मतलब सवाल ज़्यादा है.
बराबर.
It is not about trying to do something new and getting organized in that. चल रहा है, चलने दो. It's like that.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Speaking Real Estate Podcast. Today with us we have Managing Director and CEO of Livingstone Infra Limited and Stallion Buildtech, Mr. Rishab Jain. Hello Rishab bhai.
Hi.
How are you?
All good.
How was your recent trip to Dubai?
It was good. Dubai is always fun. There's always some new things to do out there. So it's always fun with family.
I think so, a good place to get inspiration for our industry.
100%. You go there and you always see some new tall towers which we are not able to build in Bombay for sure.
Hope so we are able to build that someday in Bombay.
Soon enough.
So we start off by knowing the education journey, then the career journey. So would like to know about your education.
Sure. So my education was quite basic. It was I did my schooling, and then after that there was a normal graduation TY BCom which I did in commerce. However, always I had a very keen interest in technology, and I ran a few diploma courses in which it was about big data. Back then, big data was a very big thing, in 2008-7, and software building and technology and stuff, and since childhood I was very keen with technology, with opening up tapes, recorders and everything, joining it back together. So I think somewhere or the other it's there in my genes, which is which is leading to this.
We'll come back to the whole data and technology soon. So, and how did you get into real estate? You are a first generation entrepreneur and starting up your own real estate firm.
Right. So my family, they were initially 3 generations back, we were actually zamindars.
Okay.
And but obviously not in Bombay. We were up. There is a place called Beswa up in Bihar. So we were zamindars back then, and then in the second, then my second generation, when the British Raj finished and all the zamindari finished and everything was gone to the government. Still, my family, because they used to deal with lands and stuff, so we were familiar. Like my father was familiar with dealing with lands and etc. But as a person, when I grew up, I always had an inspiration of doing something by myself, as starting off by myself, and that had to be real estate one way or the other. And then we decided to start building, just not trading lands, but start making buildings itself. So this business of mine is solely started by me, and it's even run by me. And my father, he's now even a practicing homeopath doctor, so he does that as well as the land bit. And now I'm making buildings and stuff, etc.
It's a very big thing for a person to start his own real estate firm. That is what I've seen. So if you could want to highlight few things about initially how you got your first project and how much difficult it was there back then and to now, where you're handling multiple projects.
So I think it's been a long journey since then. Because I remember clearly that, so we specialize in 33/7 redevelopment projects, 33/7, 33/9. And
33/7 is redevelopment.
It's redevelopment.
33/9 is
cluster development.
Okay.
So 33/7, so in one of my first tenant meetings, one of the tenants, they asked me, because obviously it is redevelopment work is, a lot of convincing to the tenants to vacate their premises. in one of the meetings, one of the questions the tenant asked me that, what is the FSI that you're going to utilize on this land? And I didn't know. So back from then till now, I think it's been a huge journey. I think it's mainly, we like as a group, we are focused more in South Bombay to develop buildings. One of the key reasons for being is because as a person, like I like to control things. I like to be on my site. I have my weekly visits and stuff. So I don't like to work somewhere where, I can't reach that often. So like, it's more on the lines that, like normally I would be visiting my sites and stuff. So it needs to be around me in terms. Back then when we started in 2011 as a group, and 10-11, we just procured a land which was a tenanted. So out there is something which is called Pagdi system that we buy. So it's a landlordship building that we buy.
So you bought out the tenants?
We didn't. So there are two components. There is a land, and then on the land there is a structure.
Okay.
So the landlord is basically, who he owns the land and the structure, and then the tenants are somebody, who he would, give for renting it out the premises. So that land belonged to some 44, like a particular landlord from whom we had bought that land and the structure as well. And obviously in Bombay for 33(7), back then you required 70% consents of the people who were staying inside that premises. So there were some around 40 occupants back then. And it was, so as soon as we bought the land, we did the investment, and suddenly there was a government shift. The government was unstable. And, Subodh Kumar Saab had come in at that point of time.
Right.
And there was a particular period in time where the entire
Industry
permissions was on a standstill. And that was my first proposal.
Okay.
So we had invested, and then 1 year we were just sitting to understand that, how
things will go forward.
How it go forward. And when it even opened up, so there were so many changes because the entire conventional thing had shifted to the digital. So BMC was running into everything got computerized and stuff. So even the architects and stuff, they didn't know how exactly to work around that and stuff. So it was a little unstable at that point of time. But I think such things just over the time make you stronger, make you more capable. So just over the time, it made us more capable, I think.
Would say your experience has helped you a lot in your whole journey.
So I think, for any new coming developer, this line is as such that, even if your project cost is like, say, 60 crores, and even if you have 100 crores in your bank account, but if you don't know how to run this business, it can drain out 150 crores also.
Okay.
So I think you should really know what you're doing, how you're dealing. And I feel that, no matter how big you are, no matter how planned you are with the entire thing, but still the first project is the sacrifice project. One project you need to sacrifice, not in terms of quality, but somewhere in terms of your sales, in terms of the way you build things. And that is a stepping stone which,
would return you
tomorrow's project. So, but it's this line is just not about money. I think it is how you handle things, how you talk to people, how you get your permissions fast. There are too many factors in that. It is not.
Right now you're handling, doing projects in South Mumbai market. What's your future vision for the company? Do you think about expanding into other areas of Bombay too?
At this point of time, I feel as typically as builders, we all have strong profiles in our own domains. But I think it would take a significant amount of time for a builder, a decade or two, to outreach himself to other areas itself. The reason why I say that is because, when we are working, when we are developing in one area, so there is a certain confidence that we build around with our investors, with our buyers. There is a certain brand that gets built, within that area. And at the same time, that goodwill which gets created, that comfort which is there, it's a little difficult to
establish
some other area.
Got it.
So it's a little difficult in terms for us to migrate to other areas as builders, because that entire building thing of, your own goodwill and stuff, it's not that easy. It's not that
Understood.
easy. It takes a significant amount of
Right.
You are working in the South Bombay market, which is the luxury housing market
Yes.
of whole
Yes.
Bombay. What is your thoughts on the potential of the South Bombay market? Is it going to grow even more, or is it near its potential?
So I think the biggest challenge, I would say, in South Bombay is the scarcity of land. So you start from there. Building is second. First first you need to acquire a land. The problem in South Bombay is that, it is not that, it's not that well planned in terms, the plot sizes are all smaller. We don't have the abundance of 2 acres, 3 acres. We normally deal with 1800, 1500 maximum. If you're having a 2000, 3000 meter plot, your project is a luxury project. That is how it is in South Bombay. It is unlike in suburbs. And it's more of vertical than horizontal out here. So, and plus in South Bombay, it is, I wouldn't say that it's entirely luxury. Like as a group of mine itself, we are working in areas like Bhaikala, Bombay Central, which are mid-luxury, or they are mid-segments. The average price would be from say 35,000 to 50,000 rupees on carpet. And at the same time, we are even doing projects at Breach Candy, Altamount Road, where, the pricings are starting from somewhere around 1,10,000 to 1,50,000.
Great.
So South Bombay has I would say has a huge diversification in terms of its buyer, in terms of its end users. So it's not just constructed to one big.
Target audience of your project in the Altamount Road on Breach Candy would be different, and your
Absolutely.
target audience of your project in Baikala would be different.
Absolutely
You
different.
can point out the differences in the mindset of these both buyers.
So we sell apartments to people, ranging from 2.5 crores, for a 2-bedroom. And at the same time, we are selling apartments worth 25 crores for a 4-bedroom. So, there is I feel that when we are dealing with a 2.5 crore apartment for a 2-bedroom, even if we don't, if there is a tile that is not put properly or something, so it is still that buyer, I think he is more particular.
Okay.
It's the other way. He's more particular, and there is, more of, tidy things and this and that and everything, because it's their hard-earned money. They have probably loaned that money from a bank or something. So, and we appreciate that. But as far as, when there are such, when we are selling such apartments, so we are selling shell apartments, because, a person coming in, he would actually just break down everything, and he would be, spending 10,000 rupees a foot on his interior, and, not doing a builder finish, which is like costing 2,500 rupees per square feet. So I think the entire dimension is totally different. The dynamics is totally different. And that is just that, how we adapt to it in terms. That's how it is.
You could point out few unique challenges that the South Mumbai market has in terms of real estate development.
I think the challenges are, in every business, and especially in real estate, it's a very challenging journey. I say to a lot of my friends that many times that, my business is like a Hindi film. Hero will go to fight, he will romance also, he will do everything. There will be ups and downs, but at the end of it, there is a happy ending to it. So in terms of challenges, as I said, that, getting lands in place is a big thing. Obviously, the tenants who are residing in these buildings, even somewhere or the other, they realize that this builder is going to build a tower in South Bombay. So South Bombay has, a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money. So they even try to, get as much as a piece of the pie possible from their side. And also, so convincing them also is a challenge, and at the same time, government compliance is a big thing, because, Mantralaya being there is a constant VIP movement on most of the roads, like on Pedder Road, on Marine Drive, or on Hajili Road. There are constant VIP movements. So it is as simple as that. Means most of our sites, it's it's actually a no entry from the traffic department from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
And the neighborhood that we work in, after 8 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the morning, you cannot work because the police doesn't allow. So in the daytime, the traffic doesn't allow. In the night time, the police doesn't allow. So basically 24 hours, you're not allowed to work. And then somehow, some way, then we have to manage ourselves and then we work in that. So
Is this one of the biggest reasons for delay of a project in South Bombay?
yes. So I think all these factors, they are not, there is no entry in RERA that, we can type in and we can say that my RMC truck was not allowed because of
Right.
traffic regulations. So I think these factors are not considered in, because when we give a timeline in RERA, so it is normally that, we would give like a 3-year, 4-year project timeline. And, when as builders, when we start a project, we are very ambitious about the entire project. Like, and we have a very big vision and all those things. But all these things, they get your vision down. At the end of it, it is just completing the project and getting out of it at one point.
The dependence on the external environment is a lot.
Is a lot. And being in South Bombay, we get to deal a lot with CRZ as well. So, getting permissions is not just one window for us. We have to go to MCZMA for CRZ permissions. Then there are several compliances as it is for all builders. If we are above 20,000 meters, then there is MOEF and all those things. So dealing with all these permissions, so getting the project permission ready from the time you acquire, typically it takes, if there are all these permissions, so it would take around 9 to 10 months itself. If there is no MCZMA, not all these things, so probably 4 to 5 months we can get all the permissions in place to start the project.
So moving on, we'll move to Stallion Buildtech, a software application that you have built for developers to manage their work effectively. Like, what was the inspiration that you had, or what was your idea that made you make this happen?
As a personal nature of mine, I typically like to, have control and try to streamline, manage things as much as possible. And, as a developer, when I entered into the real estate business, the journey has been so typically when we used to lend out our construction work, so, we normally deal, so different builders has different ways to work. But as builders, what we do is that, we would basically supply them the cement, the RMC to the contractor, and then give the contractor a labor-oriented job. In terms of managing those things, in terms of managing so many materials coming in, going out, and at the same time, the sales, what are happening, because we having like at any project 40, 50 apartments to sell, which apartment payment is due, which apartment payment is not due. For the smallest of things, for example, if as we are envisioning a project, we would make as lavish as things as possible. Suddenly, after 2 years, the FSI increases in your domain, something happens, and your plinth is up, everything is up, and then the builder tries to compromises planning somehow and, tries to get in as much as FSI. So replanning happens. So the plan is not straightforward that, what you have passed in the IOD that is built to suit that you do.
Right.
As you are constructing, then and there, you keep changing, you keep modifying your plans and stuff. And what typically happens in that is that, there are several agencies that they are there. There is a structural consultant, then there is a licensing architect, then there is a design architect, and all these guys need to be in sync. When you're constructing a project. So typically what happens is that when you give a good for construction drawing, which we call a GFC, to a contractor, that needs to be roped in from all these guys. So many times it happens that, these drawings would be outdated, or they are probably, the site is working on an older drawing, and, the builder comes on the site, or, the main guy comes on the site, and he would say that, this is not built as per the drawing. And the site engineer would say that, I built it as per this drawing, which was an outdated drawing. So this is a normal thing which happens in most of the projects, not in my case, but most of the projects. So slowly, all these things, they kept on building up things. So I remember the first thing which I built, at my office as, so I got 2 coders from outside. One was an iOS coder, like an iPhone coder and an Android coder. And, the first thing which we built was just a very, very simple module which was just about, it would just reflect, your ground to 20 slabs. And in each and every slabs, there would be 3 drawings, which would be your electrical drawing, your like your MEP drawings, your window drawings, your RCC drawings, your structural drawings, and that's it. And but the difference in that was that because it being the app, it was handy, and it was divided into all my teams. So the access was to all the teams. So even my structural consultant was there, even my design architect was there, even my licensing architect was there. So when all these guys were on the same app, so it was whenever they were issuing a drawing, so it was getting centralized in one manner. So whenever we were seeing, so as a CEO, when I was seeing the drawing, it was the same thing. So I was satisfied. I was satisfied that my guys, my supervisor, engineers, they're working on the same drawings. So everything started getting streamlined in that manner. So I think that was a start point to Stallion. And like this, there was other instance. So Stallion is actually built on instances. Stallion was never built with a clear thought ki paisa kamana hai builder log se. It was actually
Understood.
always to solve my
Your
problems.
problems.
It was never to solve anyone else's problems, in all honesty. So as simple as that, like, when we have something which is like a SWM NOC, like a debris NOC, which is, normally given as a yearly NOC, because as builders now, we are hit currently with a pollution thing at this point of time, which we have to comply. And I'm sure soon there will be a lot of compliances, which we would have to regularly renew every year, So back then there was something which was called SWM, which was a debris NOC, where you have to have the NOC of a dumping yard every year to dump the debris off your site. So every time you go to revalidate any of these NOCs, it would be any of your IODs or CCs, because everything has a lapse. Or if you want to go to amend a plan or something like that, if there's some change, and the builder would know, and I would know that, okay, this NOC has been expired. And then I would go back to that department, the SWM department, or speak to the concerned licensing officer and break 15-20 days renewing that SWM NOC. And then after that, getting that NOC, and then, revalidating my actual purpose, whether it is my CC or whether it is my amend. So like there are various NOCs that keep getting expired in construction, compliances which are issued. So there are more than 49 compliances that we have to do in terms of, to our project. Some don't get expired, but some of them keep getting expired. So there was a lot of time breakage in terms of, your plan. And as architects, who we have licensing architects, is actually their job to do. But somewhere or the other, even they are loaded with a lot of projects. And you can't just be totally dependent on them. You need to have your reins in your own hand.
Right.
So in that context, then we started building a simple module which was as permissions. So it was just basic as that whatever permissions you procure, you centralize that, you upload it, you scan it, and you set the expiry time of that permission on this. So, and you can set reminders on that for 15 days, 1 month before. And with that, so if a permission gets expired or something like that, so you would get a 15-day prior notification that, okay, this permission is going to get expired. So you're hands-on with everything, and you would get clear-cut data. You don't need to ask your architect. You don't need to check your compliances, or you need to get midnight nightmares that permission is not expired. You just open it, you see that I have so many days left for it. So slowly, modules kept on building, making, and all those things on that.
When did you start building this app? In what year?
So I started building this. So I started my construction journey in 2011. By 2017, I was fed up completely with the way how disorganized this entire thing is. And I started calling in, 2-3 players who are existing in the market. I wouldn't like to name them. And who were giving these software services. So I was on a software hunt to organize my entire organization. But what I realized when I was seeing most of these softwares were that most of these softwares were actually not built by developers. They were built, by software engineers, by IT engineers. And, they were just segregating departments and just making a data box like Tally or like a accounting software where you just, take all the load of the site and just put it on one table, and then there is one guy who's just doing the data feeding. So that was like, that is, so I felt that, most of those softwares,
They were lacking the expertise of a developer that
exactly.
you had, and that helped Stallion
Exactly.
become
So
Stallion.
most of those companies, they have also built a software for a Kirana store also. They have made a software for an accounting company also. And those softwares, they are just like, those developers or those IT guys, they are just making the software for
Very generalized.
very, very generalized, just to make money out of a new segment. That's how, like, I felt it when I looked at it. And I was like, rather something that, I would start making it. So we started building this in 2017. And as I said, module by module by module. So we started by RCC structure module, which was the contracting module. Then we got into the licensing module, which was the permission module. Then we got into the Mastery module, which was the finishing module. So this was built over the time as I thought that, I can start bridging things. So something, I was on site, I used to go on my sites, my weekly visits, and something I used to get upset about that, okay, no, this didn't happen because it was not communicated well. So I would go back to my office, I'll tell my team, we'll make this. And that's how, that's how Stallion is built even today.
It's being built every day.
Built every day. So I think the biggest difference what is in us and in other companies is that it's a first-hand builder experience, is very intuitive, is like because we exactly know that what problem comes where as builders, and a contractor, what does he need to see, accountant, what does he need to see. So we know exactly that instead of just throwing the entire data on him.
Understood.
So, and also Stallion works more of a decentralized way than a centralized way. So it would work decentralized but collate things in a centralized way. What that normally means is that it is just not a two-person, three-person job. Like, if you go and you buy any ERP, a typical ERP. So in that case, there would be a screen in which, there will be some heads and you just put the invoice and you just start filling in. That's how it normally happens. But in Stallion, what normally happens is that it is a job which is done at every flow of every, with every person in the entire company, So even I'm working on that somewhere or the other. Even my accountant is working on a particular thing somewhere or the other. So, like, in long story short, like, if there is a material requirement on a site, and my site engineer, he will just put up a
Requisition
order that he needs 10 bags of cement. So that will go to my verification
purchase department,
my requisition team. My requisition team will see that, whether the project budget which is set, is he ordering in that or not, or is he going above that? And then he'll verify that particular order. Then that will go to my accounts department. After my accounts department, it is like the accounts department would, tag the vendor who's giving the lowest rate and everything. He will first shoot out a request to all my vendors, whoever are boarded in the in my computer, in the Stallion app. And it's a closed bid which comes back from all these vendors. So no vendors know that, what rate others are quoting. At the same time, none of my staff knows that which rate
is the best.
So, like, there is that transparency which is happening. I'm not this thing that mere staff ki kisi ke sath setting ho gayi. So that is also there. And whichever the lowest rate is, Stallion will automatically pick that up. It will make the PO automatically. Then it will come to me, and then I would sign the PO, and automatically the PO would get sent to the email to the vendor. So, like, just this one small process, which is just a requisition process, but there is a 4-layer process which is going through. And it is just not one person who is doing this entire thing, but it is separated in like 4-5 people who are doing. So every person is doing one small thing. It is not a load on each person, but at the end of it, the product is beautiful. So that's how most of Stallion, it works in that manner.
There are multiple things that are helping out from a leader's point of view, like saving up money, ensuring clear communication, and many other things as well. So what do you think in future the importance of a software in the real estate industry? Right now, like, obviously many people, many developers are using softwares, but there might be people who are not using the softwares. Where do you see the working of a software in an organization 5 years, 10 years down the line?
How I see this is that, for example, you don't need Tally. You don't need Tally. You can do whatever Tally does on paper, how you do right now, and you can just, submit your ITR annually. But you use Tally because of convenience. And if there is technology, if it adds something to us, it is only convenience. Whether you're booking a cab, or whether you're ordering something on Amazon, or you're going to a store and buying something. So everywhere there is this convenience. So I think what the real estate industry is doing right now is not having that convenience. And by time, which is the younger generation, which is the generation which is our side at this point of time, we are more technology friendly, we are more technology pro. And this would move towards, adapting towards technology. I feel it makes a huge difference overall having, technology by your side when you're having. There is a chain of command, a flow, which is there in your entire organization. There is a set workflow that, you do things like, so if you have to raise a purchase order in a manner, you have to raise a purchase order in a manner. It is not that ki आज इसने ऐसा किया कल उसने ऐसा किया. The amount of man hours we can reduce, from our entire organization, whether it is real estate, whether it is any kind of any kind of business, it would benefit at the end of it, to the organization. Till it is automated, till it is till it is mechanical.
How many your developers you have onboarded on the platform?
So right now, there are more than, I would say that there are more than 35 developers on board right now. And we are managing more than 80 projects on Stallion as of now. And on that, we have clients like Shripati, then we have clients like Gala Habitats, many A-grade developers. Even the tallest tower right now, which is in India, which is getting built, is by MICL Group, by Shripati. That is, I think, around 300 meters. So that is also entirely powered by Stallion.
Great. So how much does it cost a developer to use Stallion for one project? And what if he has multiple projects?
So that ranges, that has, that one of the key differences between us and the other softwares which were there in the market is that most of these softwares, they are user-based. So that's a big difference. That's user-based. So they come with 10 seats, in technology terms.
Their cost increases with the amount of users that are going to use the platform.
Yes.
Got it.
So when you go at any of these guys, they would say that it is 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, and you'll be all happy and you'll get them onboarded. But with those 5, 6 limited seats, 8 limited seats, you cannot, run a company.
For long term, it might turn out expensive.
Yes. So it is just about getting in a client and then slowly, and at the end of it, they would be billing 40, 50 lakh rupees for a project at the end of it, most of these companies. What we normally do is that our packages, they start from, for a single project, they start from 8 lakh rupees and it goes up to 35, 40 lakh rupees. Depending, if there is a 4-tower project or a 5-tower project, or there is a 5-project cycle or something like that. So it's normally from 5 to 40 lakh rupees. But in that, there is unlimited storage, unlimited, you can say unlimited users. And at the same time, there is unlimited customization also.
Okay.
So what we do is that, as developers and having a developer background, I would want my software to be as robust as possible. So if you are buying a software of mine and you suggest, Rishab, isme aisa nahi yaar, isme ye missing hai, isme is tarike ka ye hona chahiye. So I know if that makes sense, if I add that, it's going to add value to my own business. Because my own business is also, and it's it's run by Stallion. So one feature added for one guy, it's it adds to other guys as well. So when we launched Stallion, around 3 years somewhere, we were, using Stallion in-house. We were completely using Stallion in-house. And by the time, like, there was a day I just realized that, we have just built so much. And when I started speaking to my developer friends, I saw that they were still struggling with those same problems, what I'm struggling with, what I was struggling with at a point of time. So I said that, let us try to launch this, let us try to monetize this, how this works. And, we started selling licenses, we started giving demos and stuff, and we got very good response. It was we in the first 2 months, 3 months, we had more than more than 15 to 20 projects already managed on Stallion. So it was a big thing. And even back then, what we were then 1.5 year back, and now we have constantly evolved in terms of technology in Stallion. There's so many new things. It's like, it's like you're using a Facebook or an Instagram 4 years back version and a version right now
is way too different.
So the same way Stallion, what it was 2 years, 3 years back, and what it is now, it's completely different, and it's I think it's going to get evolved as as time flies.
So there are other softwares for real estate industry, let's say FarVision.
FarVision, yes.
So what is different between Stallion and FarVision?
So one is that they are not app friendly. So it is more of that, it is a data entry that you're sitting back and you're doing at your office. But construction is all about being mobile, in terms. So your site engineers being on a tab, they would want to access the drawings, see the drawings, all those things. So they're all updated at the same time. So simple as that. My guy who receives inventory at my site, so I don't want to dedicate a computer to him, or I don't want him to make a challan and file that challan and then send it back to my office. And then my guy does data entry in these softwares which are FarVision or whatever, etc. In Stallion, what it happens is that it's a small app which gets downloaded on your phone itself. So it can be installed on a 10,000 rupee phone also, which he's using for other purposes as well. And on that, he just receives the inventory, he quantifies that, and automatically that entire process, that challan that gets digitally reaches to my office, to my accounts team. So these kind of differences are there, which is major. Also, I think that the developer angle or the developer look that we have to the entire product is very, very intuitive. So if you use Stallion as a builder, if you just open Stallion, you will just, you don't need training. You don't need training. So if you use any of these softwares, you would need to train your staff at least for 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, they provide a 45 days.
Exactly. So
training.
when we sell Stallion, we say that you don't need training. Instead of training, we call something which is called workshops. And in workshops, we just teach you, or we just guide you, or we just show you that what is the capability of the software, what are the features that you can use in this software. But rest is so intuitive that if you know how to book a cab on Uber, you can operate Stallion. There is nothing much involved.
Are you using AI ML in your softwares currently?
We have been using that much before this entire AI buzz, and we have been using that since 2018-19. And
what do you use?
So in many factors, like in when you're ordering a particular, so means if so there is a grade of cements that get a builder would normally use, like he would use M20 or like say Ambuja cement or a particular grade of cement that he would be using. So the software automatically data reads that he understands that that this builder is using such kind of quality precision. So then automatically he would not give him like a Wada steel or a rolling steel. He would show him TMT bars. He would show him all those things. Then he would auto type things for him. He would quantify things like if this slab, the last slab you have used, for example, 150 cubic meter of concrete. So the next slab would be if you are putting 200, 250, if the consumption is that, purchase orders have come for 200, 250. The software will automatically learn that, from the previous slab, when the dimensions are same, everything is same. Why have you used 200 cubic meter? So, and that would be a flag which would come to us or come to the CEO where he could deal with it. So there are various factors in that, as well as it's with the way AI is at that point of time, there is no limits in terms with architectural design, you can say, or with you can say interior planning. It's like, on a button these days things can get designed. Even there are softwares, they're very good softwares, like one which is with the which is using AI, which is about MEP. I forgot the company's name, but on a button you can submit your plans, and in 2 hours it would just get your entire space ka MEP done, layout set.
On
With
its own.
I think it's MEP engineering.
Kaizen.
Sorry,
Kaizen.
no, not Kaizen, not Kaizen. There is another. I will put in the name so then you can put in the bio later. So there is so that's a Bangalore-based company that's it's doing.
Okay.
So it's so I think it's an interesting subject which is still not yet explored to its optimum level in real estate, but I think by time it will really be of this thing.
So you knowing how AI can go far, and do you think of something in the future that you would like to incorporate Stallion with doing such kind of a job with AI?
So currently we are working on something very interesting. It's under production now, so it's not there. But it's like you submit your AutoCAD plan, and it would the software would detect that whether this is a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK and 1 BHK. Then you would ask then you can put basic keywords that whether this is a luxury apartment, whether this is a whether this is a mid-furnished apartment or something like that. And you could say that you want a warm finished flat or you want a furnished flat, and the software would automatically according to the dimensions of the room, throw in the furniture in that, give you 2-3 options. You can choose the option from which it is, and then after that it will automatically render out those options, giving you 3D views out of that. So which at this point of time is a very, very expensive affair. If you are getting interior renders of one particular room or something for one angle, it would cost you at least 5 to 6,000 rupees. So this is something which we are trying to automate. With this technology already exists. It is not that it doesn't exist, but it is fragmented. So if you go online and you search, so somebody is just doing an interior render for you while from AI. Somebody is just doing a furniture layout for you from AI, but it is not under one roof. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to rope this in one roof, and under one product where you just click off a button, you give in few keywords, and then you get your end output. So I think these things are convenience, as I said before, and convenience is something which gets replaced no matter how conventional you are at the end of it.
Hoping to see this happen very quickly.
It would.
How do you do the data storage of other developers, and how do you ensure the security of their data?
So none of these data pockets are actually kept with us. So what we normally do is that we have a different, you can say in layman terms, a different hard drive for each developer. Plus, none of this data is actually stored by us. It is stored, there are two options. It is either stored with Amazon Cloud Server, AWS, and with AWS most of the banking data and so they have a strict security within themselves. So that is one option which is inbuilt in our price. And the other option is that we can localize a server at the builder's office, at the developer's office. So all the data can be at that place, but it's an expensive affair to have all those things. So it is, and plus it is with all security encryption and all those things. So it is unbreachable.
You being a part of the whole Proptech community, you could highlight few challenges that the Proptech faces today, because it's at a initial borning, like having a birth kind of stage right now, and not having that much. It's not up to its potential yet, I would say.
I think in India there was, specifically in India, there was a e-commerce boom. There was you can say the taxi thing boom. Then there was a ed tech boom with the education and stuff. So Proptech is in the last 2 years, 3 years, we have been hearing this word which is Proptech. Before that, we never heard of Proptech in terms. So I think the gestation time for this is another 2 to 3 years, where then this whole area is well funded and stuff. Because I think any industry it only comes up or it only booms when it is well funded. So it is not yet that well VC funded at this point of time. There is there is funding, but then most of the companies at this point of time is bootstrapped, or they are IT companies who are just selling softwares and they don't ever want to take funding. It is not about a unique idea that they want to come up with and then they want to get funded in that or something like that. But there are companies like, as you said, there are Kaizen, there is Stallion, who are coming up with, complete solutions in terms, who are good candidates, I would say, to attract such investments in this industry. I think one of the few challenges in this industry is that like, it is completely unorganized. If you are going to buy a flat, if you go online and you put an inquiry that you want to buy a flat, you put your number, so then you would get 10 calls
10 calls from 10 different
brokers,
right,
and everything. So people hesitate from all those things. There is not that, it is not that transparent. I can say it is not that well organized that it should go through a professional manner. Like, it's, for example, if I want to buy something on Amazon, it is my private thing. I would just go and I would buy, and nobody else needs to know about it. It comes in a sealed envelope. It is delivered at my end. But as far as this thing is concerned, there are companies like No Broker and all these things which are trying to solve this problem. That which is directly making you connect with the buyer at the same time. At the same time, when we specifically talk about construction, it is highly organized in terms of management. Firstly, that how you are building a building. Second, unless you're not a very big corporate guy, who have 200 people working under you, and you have a set flow since 40 years old, that that how this is how it is done. So first is management. Second is procurement of goods. Quality of goods is unorganized. You don't know that this RMC cement which is coming or the steel bar which is coming, it is of the same quality throughout the building or not. So all these things are completely unorganized. At this point, in all these sectors, as soon as you go and you try to approach them with technology, there is a level of hesitance in them, that ये करेंगे तो वो क्या, वो करेंगे तो ये क्या, मतलब सवाल ज़्यादा है.
बराबर.
It is not about trying to do something new and getting organized in that. चल रहा है, चलने दो, is like that. But I feel somewhere or the other, this is the same problem which, there was a point of time where the offline stores were facing with the online stores. There was a certain gap, I think from 2010 to 2014, where the offline stores were in the mindset that no matter Amazon कितना भी बड़ा हो जाए या no matter कोई कितना भी बड़ा हो जाए, दुकान तो चलेगी ही चलेगी, ऑफलाइन कभी उड़ नहीं सकता है. But that industry is completely shifted. So I feel that the people who adapt now, they would be in a much, much more better position in terms of even vendors, you can say, who put their entire listing online and they are just not selling from stock, from their door or their phone, but, having their online cataloging and all these things. It will actually help them, in the later time when the entire industry is online. Things can't work like this with the way technology is transforming things. Things cannot work like this I don't think even you can foresee it 5 years down the line.
100%.
You can't foresee it.
Agreed.
So it is all about who gets in first, and whoever gets in first, he's much more organized and
will have the first movers advantage.
And he has a much more bigger market share.
Moving on, we know that you have one more app for the real estate industry, that is the Realink. And apart from that, you're working on Builder app as well right now. Firstly, talking about the Realink, what made you make that app? So I'll give a gist maybe of the Realink. It's a news platform for the real estate industry where you get news of all the rules and regulations that are up to date till today. And apart from that, you can as well connect with people.
You can connect with people. There is with Real-Ink, the whole ideation was that again it was a big problem because there are so many cases like in so many high court judgments which builders face, etc. Then there's so many rapid government policies which keep on changing, which keep on updating. It's very difficult to keep a track of all these policies.
Right.
So on Real-Ink, this was an app which was built for builders, where it basically collates all these different policies from the last 10 years, and it is based on keyword. So how on Google, so if you say Google Pay, if you search that I need a fungible FSI policy, you will not get the fungible FSI policy on Google. You will not get it. But if you type it on Real-Ink, so you will get that. So it's kind of a Google for all these judgments. It's for all these policies, different BMC policies which keep on coming. At the same time, it's a news forum also which keeps you updated about the entire industry, what is happening, what is new. So कितनी बार ऐसा भी होता है कि some policy comes in and which is something about the road width which is related to your height or something, and the builder, he is not aware, the developer is not aware that this policy is come in, और वो सोचता है कि ठीक है जब policy आएगी जब करूँगा, wait कर रहे हैं, but that policy is already come in but he is not aware about. So whenever such policies come in, these things come in. At the same time, the notification is sent to our users, and everybody is updated. So that's a centralized platform. So it is like it is a you can say like a hardcore 20-25,000 builder enthusiastic group that we have on Real-Ink, who follow that and who have that app, and and also at the same time we have something which is called Real Talk, which is like Quora or you can say Reddit, but that is only segregated to real estate. So, there's somebody would ask that, if a tenant is not emptying, what should I do?
Right.
And then there are, so many seasoned developers, replying to that person that, you can do this, you can exercise this particular law under this Constitution of India or something as that. So it's like, it's an environment which is just for real INC. Then we have a center which is also for expert talks. In expert talks, we have renowned real estate, leaders and specialized consultants, who come in and who would describe, that something, it could be as random as Vastu, it could be as random as MEP, some particular judgment, some particular regulation which is complicated. And so it's that. So now we are even coming up with a live question and answer where you can. So because earlier we didn't have those many members, now we have many members. So now we are coming up with live Q&A where some of these structural consultants or whoever these consultants are, they would be coming on board and our community can directly talk, ask live questions and they can reply to them itself.
Whatever you are doing is very inspiring. Moving to the Builder app, the thought process behind building this third app of yours.
So Builder app in a word, it's a e-commerce for building materials. It's as simple as that, if you want me to explain it. So now what we have done is that with Stallion, we take care of your entire office. We take care of from your accounts. We take care means we provide technology assistance from to your sales, to your construction, to your permission, to your architecture, to your budget, to your profit and loss statement. Like you can wake up at 2 o'clock in the night and you will understand that whether, how much profit your project is in. So, and at the same time, you can procure materials, but you can only do one part of it where you can send out PO request to the vendors, the builder's vendors, whoever is, the builder works with. But we're just organizing that entire thing of the purchase order reaching the builder, reaching the vendor, and when the material comes in from the vendor, so quantifying that and then you can say doing an inventory of that. So that's what Stallion does. So now what Stallion is trying to do is that the gap which is missing about providing that material is currently what Stallion is not doing, which builder would do. So Stallion and builder, that would be it would be a single app kind of a thing, but you can say more of an extension of Stallion,
Got it.
where when you're opening a purchase order, so instead of typing things like, M35 or like, TMT steel bar, there would be a e-commerce like catalog or a Amazon like catalog where you can, open up the entire inventory of a JSW or of a Tata, click on certain things of the products you need, do add to cart, and your purchase order is made. And then basically we would take care of the entire, billing, procuring from the vendor and then delivering it to, the builder. And so that's what builder would be about. We would be covering things from CP fittings to sanitary fittings to electrical fittings, lightings, uh, building materials like, RMC, steel, bricks, Syphorex. Like there are more than 10,000 building materials. So right now we are starting with 2025. And the way we are doing this, that we have also understood that, transportation is a big problem in this thing. It is always a big challenge that whether transportation is, the cost is going to be on the builder or it's going to be on the vendor, apart from the goods. So that is something that we would be covering in our commission as well. And we would be having our own transport logistics in that, where, the quality of the goods would be always maintained from, from the vendor up to the build, or up to the project. As simple as that. Like, well, means we would have such advantage with the builder app that when you are, so how you order food on Swiggy, so you see a person on the bike with a helmet riding down to your home. So in the same manner, Stallion, you would see your RMC truck coming from the plant to the,
Site.
to your site. And it is just not about, having that fun of seeing that, but it also records some very good data points in that. Like, for example, it would say that the amount of time it took to reach, because RMC is such a thing that the more the time it spends on the road, the quality gets weakened and weakened. So as the time it comes, they keep on, if it's more than 1 hour, then they will keep pouring in water in that to have the, liquid, to have it liquidified in a manner and not make it solid. So in that manner, it keeps on, so this gathers all that data. And then it also keeps the data that on which slab that particular truck was used. So tomorrow, when we are up on the 6th floor, 7th floor, on one of the columns, you particularly see, some kind of honeycombing or some kind of mesh being formed. You can go back to your data in Stallion. You can see that this particular column was casted by which contractor, from which vendors did the material came from, which steel was this used. Now, with those trucks, what kind of time it took from there to come in. So it is not about just constructing, but it is also about the data that you get to keep till the end of the project. So even after, post handover, there's so many times, which as builders we have to keep a defect liability period of 5 years, 10 years in those terms. To, as per RERA, we need to keep a defect liability period of 5 years. It's mandatory. So in this, all this kind of data points keep you this thing that, you can go back to your contractors if you have such kind of AMCs with them or something like that. And then, not just bleed alone, but you can make them pay for it, and as builders, and not just, take the entire brunt. So all these things. So this, as far as the builder app, like we are almost through. We have more than 45 vendors on board, in terms of ranging more than, at this point of time, 800 products as of now. And it is due to be live somewhere in Feb at this point of time. We're working towards it.
So you are having your developer business. Along with that, you are able to update these apps every day effectively as well. How much time do you put in according to these different?
So construction does take quite a significant amount of time in terms, because as a builder, it's I don't think it's that streamlined, it's that easy that you come to office, do your office job, go back home. You are facing different dynamics every day, whether it is with the BMC permissions, whether it is with site, whether it's some design issue, whether it is some new land acquisition, so there is there are various things that which keeps you busy. A calm day is a wrong day in our lives as developers, and at the same time, I think I would, as typically myself, I organize myself giving an hour to everything that I'm doing in a day, in different departments. So 1 hour would be with my permission team, 1 hour would be with my construction team, execution team, 1 hour would be with my IT team, which is Stallion. 1 hour would be with my accounting team, and the rest of the time is my time, which I would be exploring new things to do. So it is chaotic. It is not that easy. It is chaotic.
Understood. This, if someone out there is trying to build an app and you have already built 2 apps and one is in the ongoing stage, few things that you would like to highlight that that person should take care of these things and should pay attention to these.
The thing is that any technology, it is not that easy. Ki app banate, we start a business. It's not that easy, because technology is something that evolves by time. And as I said, that what Stallion was before and what is now, there's a huge difference. And the kind of parameters that get built in is after a particular experience that that technology goes through, that journey that the technology goes through. So I would say that start small, don't get too ambitious, don't focus on funding at this point of time. First, build a good product which people can appreciate, which you can appreciate yourself. Get that running, get the money, don't think that keep burning money till and one day the app will do well. Try to try to make the business as profitable, to get into profitability as early as possible. And I think if you have these parameters, you are in peace of mind. And then just, I think, go with the flow and do your best at what you do. I think that is what it is. But I would strongly advise that not to run behind the money, but run behind the passion when it comes to technology, because in technology, passion always wins. In terms if you see most of the people who have good products at the end of it and who are good companies, which we are using at this point of time, they are they are, in terms by themselves, they are too simple. They are not inclined to money. They are more inclined to technology. In terms, they are more inclined to solving a problem. For me, the problems I faced, I wanted, I as as builders, we see really big numbers when the kinds of projects we are doing. And
Right.
it is not about making a successful, making money out of Stallion or anything as such, but it is about making that small difference in the entire
Industry.
industry, which has that change, which makes us much and much more organized.
Right.
Giving one person as a owner that control, and at that control, you can say the optimism, and in all manners of the entire company is a big thing. Like even today, Stallion was first localized in Bombay, but now, somewhere, some people are using it in Hyderabad, some people are also using it in Bangalore. So it's somewhere or the other, it's a proud feeling to me that something I built back then, 5 years back, in my office, which I was just using in closed doors, some random person in Hyderabad is using, and he's appreciating it. So I think that has much more value than money, and I think everybody should target that happiness then, or that that vision, then then just making the company big. I think if you have that, your company will automatically become big, I feel so.
Hoping that Stallion is there out there in Pan India.
Sure, soon, very soon.
So, what would be your parting note, advice to anyone in the real estate community?
I think be hands-on as much as possible. One of the mistakes we did as as new builders, as I was the first generation, was that we we appointed consultants in every possible segment, whether it was MEP, whether it was structural, whether it was designing, whether it was that, and we just thought that everybody would just do their work. And but what we realized as as a group, or what we learned, you can say, and what everybody must be knowing, is that most of these most of this work which needs to be done for these consultants, or whoever is outsourced to, they have multiple projects. At the end of it, you have your money which is invested in, you have your money which you have to make back from these people, and at the end you have to pay all of these people, whoever your consultants are. So that inclination or that optimism to get that money back or to deliver that project, the energy level what you are at, your consultants or your this thing, they are never at the same, even if they want to be, but they are so overloaded with work that they can't cope up to that. So I would say that if you want to be in this business, you need to know the complete know-how of how BMC works, how the permission works, how basic engineering works, of how contracting works, so you are not overspending on what you're doing. You should know how you are selling your apartments, what payment terms you're giving, what things you're doing, all these things. So these things can only come with experience. So if it's your first project, don't be too ambitious and have a really big project. Make a small 30, 40, 50,000 square feet project. Do mistakes, keep doing mistakes, keep learning from it. And as you grow bigger, grow gradually. Don't just so back then when we started, we were a 6 people team, and at this point of time we are a team of 65 at this point of time. And I have my own in-house architects, I have my own in-house designers, you can say, my own licensing guys, you can say, who follow up with my licensing architects. I have my own accounting department, my own purchase department, my own quality check department, my own PMC department. So all these things are in-house, and since we have built this over the time, our project output, our project quality, our project estimation is at much higher than what we were before. So all these things, I think, they play a very crucial role being a builder. And being a builder is not easy at all. You face from you would face all sorts of problem. It's as if you can drive a car in Bombay, आप दुनिया में कहीं भी गाड़ी चला सकते हो. अगर बॉम्बे में बिल्डिंग बना सकते हो तो दुनिया में कहीं भी बिल्डिंग बना सकते हो.
100% agreeing to you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
so
much
much.
for coming here. Like, just a thought came into my mind. We are using your platform, and thank you for coming to our platform
Thank you so
today, for sharing your
Thank you so
knowledge, insights, and I hope everybody can
much.
get
Right,
something out of this.
100%.
Obviously, everyone will.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.